Boom! What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. I'm your host, SERG VICENTE. This is episode 264 of the show, yo. So check it out. A great episode today, man. I'm really excited to get our next guest up and rocking. This dude is a UFC fighter. This dude is a combat sports media personality, and the reason why, to me, that's so special is because there's not many of us out here doing this thing, man. And he's not only going out there talking about it on the end like I am on the mic, he's actually putting himself in the line of fire and getting he's about that action, boss. You know what I'm saying? So let's bring the man on the show, the real, the truth, Mike Jacks. What's going on, brother?
What's up, baby? Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely, man. Well, look, dude, really happy to have you on the show today, man. And like I said, UFC fighter, black combat sports media personality, and as we both know, that is few and far between, especially when there's so many of us that are actually in the sport itself. But before we get to that, man, bro, we had you scheduled to fight on January 20th. I even hit you up, looking forward to seeing you back in there. It's been a minute. It's been since like 2018. Fight was called off, bro. What happened?
It was just rescheduled. It wasn't called off. That's the thing. People, it was never canceled. It was just a scheduling thing. But everything is looking good. I actually got hit up pretty recently, so fight news will be coming out here pretty soon.
Good to hear, man. Good to hear, man. Because I know, like I said, you were supposed to fight Dean Barry, and after, like I said, that happened, he was talking a little spicy. You know, my man's got to talking spicy, and I feel like that's what those Irish dudes do, man. They go out there, they get to talking spicy.
I mean, look, and it's a fight, man. It's combat sports, but at the end of the day, my guy has to back up all the talk, so he can say whatever it is he wants to say. I haven't really heard much. I heard a little bit. He kind of said, he said, I made an announcement, but now it's off or something like that. But I can't worry about what these dudes are saying, man. But like I said, at the end of the day, he's going to be standing across from me. He put this bounty on my head for 50 G's. And I mean, I just have to go out there and do what I got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you this, man. It's been, like I said, it has been a long time since you've been in there. And one of the things that a lot of people talk about is ring rust. They talk about it a lot with Buddy.
That's ring rust is something when people like on the sidelines and they're not that's not me. For me, I've been training nonstop. I've been training since I first started. Like I started in 2008. I'll take time off here and there, whether I'm on a truth food tour somewhere, whether there's a little bit of a nagging injury. But for the most part, man, I'm always training. Even now, I'm so cliche, but I'm literally in the best shape of my life, and it's because of that active schedule that I have. Now, I'm not fight training all the time, but I'm constantly in the gym. And because I learned after the last two fights, for the Gall fight and the Punk fight, I basically came off the couch for both of those. And I remember, I think fighters do this to themselves. Like every time they'll say, look, we're not going to do that again. We're going to do this. And then I did it again. And again and again. But that's me though. Like I'm so chill and laid back. That's just me. But for this, it's a little different, being that I understand the dangers of this fight, but also I'm getting older, and that in itself, like I feel my body, it sucks walking around here with your body aching and stuff like that. Fact. But when I take my shirt off, when the ladies look at me like, ooh, and it's because I feel good, I'm taking care of myself. I'm eating right, I'm drinking water now more so. Fact. So I just feel good, man. And nice. Ring rust isn't a thing for me because I'm posting videos now back in the gym, and I'm not like going hard or anything with these guys, but you see the movement. Yeah. You see the timing is all there. So I'm ready.
Well, look, that's interesting you bring that up, man, because it's been a lot of people talking about taking less damage. You got Max Holloway say he's not sparring anymore. And when I saw you in there, one of my buddies sent me the clip, and he was like, yo, how do you feel about dudes showing sparring? And for me, I told him, I was like, well, we call that playing. That's playing. They're touching, they're working on timing. That's all that is. So I don't see that being a bad thing. How do you feel about that? Yeah.
Well, rightfully so, because what I'm doing, first of all, like that's the amateur boxing class. Like I'm not in there with the like that isn't like the sparring that I like the boxing sparring or MMA sparring. That's another time. Like what I'm doing with these guys, it's the amateur boxing class, and I do it for two reasons. The first reason is to help these guys out because when I'm in there with them, like I'm not trying to hurt them. Like I'm not. I mean, I'm not even hitting them hard. Like I'm allowing these guys to work because they're trying to learn boxing. What is it going to be like me going there with a dude who's been, training for less than a year and I'm going to smash this dude?
Starch his ass.
He doesn't get anything from that,
Absolutely.
My purpose is like off, whether it's combat sports, whether it's the civil rights and social justice, whatever it is, my purpose and goal is to enlighten, to educate, and help people grow. And in the boxing world, like that's what I'm doing. And to kind of piggyback off the Punk thing, it's kind of similar, right? So in the Punk fight, when I realized like the dude couldn't fight, like I didn't go out there and milk that dude. Now I still had to beat him up though, because I had a point to prove. But I didn't go out there and milk that dude, And the same thing when I'm here with the amateur boxing, I'm not in there to hurt them. I'm allowing them. They get to hit me now. They're not hitting me clean. You see, I'm not wearing headgear. They're wearing headgear. They're not hitting me clean because they're just like they just can't, So what I'm doing in there is all, and that's on their side. But then for me, I'm in there boxing these guys for like 45 minutes to an hour straight. I'm in the middle and they just rotating, right? So I'm doing, like I said, 15 rounds, 20 rounds maybe. And for me, that allows me to work on my timing, work on my cardio. I get to try out things with these guys. Look, I can try out things on them because I know the threat isn't now. I can go out there. There's some dudes in there. Like I posted some that like these dudes are really like the guy that I posted recently with the head movement.
Right.
That dude was like he was trying to knock me out.
He was throwing bows. He was ready.
No, but even that part of the clip was at the end of our last round. So he was by the time that was literally at the end. So at this point, he was already at his most tired, right? And again, I posted that it was more like the finesse-ness of the head movement was really what that was for.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when that round started, or because I think that day we did 2 3-minute rounds.
Okay.
When that first round started, this dude was trying to knock my head off.
He's over here throwing heaters.
And I couldn't. And I know he's trying to knock my head off, but I know he couldn't. Without me like literally just letting him, he couldn't because the skill is different. So why not let this dude punch himself out and then go and like teach him something, right? Because then after he comes up and he's asking me questions, I'll do like a little Q&A after sessions. And every time people are asking me, and that's what they're there for.
That's super dope.
Yeah. And here's the other, to finish that, the reason I'm doing it is because if you imagine that guy sparring someone just like him.
Yeah, they don't get no work. They just go out. They just go to war and get nothing done.
Exactly. So that's the point. That's the purpose, or that's the several reasons of why I did it. And as far as the posting, I mean, like that wasn't sparring. That was just again me having fun.
Facts, dude. It just makes me remember like when I first started sparring way back in the day. First dude I really sparred hard with was Shoney Carter. So you got Shoney Carter over here throwing these question mark kicks and catching me in the side of the head, but it was just out there he was just touching me like, hey man, keep your hands up. He was like, keep your hands up. I'm like, I got this.
Exactly, right? Like he wasn't in there trying to like kick your head off. He was just throwing it up there, touching you. It was like, look, you got to keep your hands up. Or imagine getting hit with 100% like that. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. And those moments for those people coming up are so valuable. Those moments to be in there, that is, in my personal opinion, again, because I've been in enough of those rooms, that's where you really grow. So that's super dope you're doing that. Let me ask you this, man, because 2020 was precarious for all of us, and we're still in the midst of it. But you've been in the gym, you've been training, you in Texas. How was all that coming along for you? How is that working?
In the beginning, it was really hectic. Like I took a lot. That was probably the most time I took off. I was just on the couch, but it was so much unknown. But then during that time, I think I probably took maybe like 2 months off doing nothing. And then finally I was like, all right, we got to figure something out. And so I ended up building, and I want to say like maybe like January, I was out in Cali and I went to Henner Gracie, the Gracie University out there.
Dope.
And I saw
over there in Torrance.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I saw how like their mat layout was, and I talked to Henner, and I hit him up. I was like, "Yo, like, how did you do that?" Because at this point, I understand. Like, I never wanted to like invest in those Dollar mats or whatever because they're hella expensive. You know,
wild expensive, fam.
I was trying to figure out, and for me, I ended up doing like I have about it's like 12 foot by 15 feet, something around. No, I'll take that back. It's a 10 by 9 ratio. So it's probably like a little less than 20 by 20 by 18 kind of space in my garage.
That's a good space though, especially to get some work in. That's a great space for that.
Well, that was the reason. So I did it because I didn't want to work because I've been working out like on the actual concrete floor. And I had this big space because I have a 3-car garage, so I had this big space.
Nice.
And I had one.
Man, that land in space in Texas is beautiful, bro.
Man, we don't need y'all coming out here either. Anybody not from Houston, not from Texas, but we coming out. We full.
We done.
But I had one of my guys. He hit me up and he was just like, "Hey, because he's been training maybe a few years, and he took some time off, and he hadn't gotten any sparring in, so he was like, "Yo, can I come through?" And so the first few sessions, we were like doing it on the concrete, but by this time I had already put the order because COVID, a lot of stuff was coming from Cali, and so I had to wait on it. So in the meantime, we're on the concrete floor, and it just wasn't there. But then when all the materials came in, I built the mat, and then I already had like my bag out there, my heavy bag out there, or whatever. But now I have a space to roll. I end up getting like a grappling dummy. Haven't used it yet, but I still got it. It's there. I just gotta fill it up. But yeah, I got some people come in. We did some rolling over the break. And then I got my dude. We came and did some sparring over the break. So it was a way for me to, because I'm the guy who needs motivation. Like if I'm not motivated, I'm just gonna chill out and just do whatever.
Right. In that moment, I'm not mad at you. I feel you.
Yeah, but in that moment, I was like, "Yo, we got to do something." So I built this mat, and So now, whenever if I don't want to go to the gym, which for me is probably about a 25-30 minute to get downtown Houston, I just go in the garage and I'll go get some bag work in. I'll get a run in. And that's my work. And it's a solid workout,
Do you think that's helped you, like, having your space there? Because you were talking about at the beginning how you feel like you're in the best shape of your life. Yeah. Do you feel like that's really attributed to that?
Partly so. And also, the break was a good time for me to reflect mentally over a lot of things. Yeah. And one thing that I've realized is that people... or not people, but fighters, I don't feel that they dedicate enough time to mental training because that's a major aspect of the fight game that people, you're just thinking about the physicality of it, right? But mentally, like it's a big part. So for me, I've been able to use this time to just think about things, think about creative movements, and then I'll go and apply them. I'll talk to my coaches like, "Yo, what you think about this?" He was like, "Oh shit, that's dope." And then I would jump into that amateur boxing class and try the shit out. You know what I'm saying? So
that's brilliant. Yeah.
This is free shit I'm giving away right now. You know? And that's because I've been in this shit for so long. With this fight, I'll now fought in 3 different decades.
That's crazy.
Which is wild to me. I never thought I'd be it, right?
Yeah. But, and here's the thing, for people who don't know, I mean, you have a dope kickboxing resume. Like I said, you've been doing this. You have literally pro kickboxing, pro boxing, and obviously MMA fights. Right. So it's not like you're just the dude who fought CM Punk. You're a legitimate guy who knows what he's doing, and you're literally training with some of the best in the world. You know what I'm saying? So just for those listeners who might not be familiar with you as much, I got to throw that out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's look. At the end of the day, like people, the bums, bigs, and haters that's out there doing their thing and talking.
Bro,
They
I feel like there's
only
more of them than ever right now, too, man. I swear. And in combat sports, dude, I'm getting it already. So I know
Well,
you
here's
get
the
hit over
thing,
the head.
though. These are snow roaches, man. And what do roaches do? They infest. That's all this is an
You
infestation
dig.
of snow roaches, man.
You dig. Well,
Um,
here, real quick, let me get to this, man, because like I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time today, man.
I ain't
But
got shit. We might be training later, but I can about them. I'm good. I'm good.
well, check, well, cool. Then, because I do want to get into this. A couple things. You are in the combat sports space, but also as a media personality. We're few and far between in terms of black people, black folks. Being we're the ones in there throwing the fisticuffs, but we're not actually. No one's telling our stories. When I started this show, that's one of the reasons that I've done it. I've gotten together a handful of other brothers that are kind of doing the same thing. But you're somebody that's been in the trenches for a minute. Your photography is awesome. You're at the events, man. What advice do you give for people trying to make a name for themselves in this space?
Man, to be honest with you, the best I feel the best course right now is to start small. You have to start at the local level and work your way. I mean, but that's how I started. Like for
You
me,
did,
and now when I started, it was a different time.
bro.
So
Three
it was
decades. 3 decades. You
well,
got to let them know.
yeah, I started in 2008, and so I was at the ground sort of level with MMA
Yeah.
media, and I was just, but that's all this shit is for shits and giggles, man. Like everything is all like right place, right time. Oh, you want to try this out? Cool. Oh, you want to do that?
Cool.
Cool. But my recommendation though is definitely start at the local level and work your way up. You have to know what you're talking about. You don't have to know like all the details. You don't have to know all this crazy information, but you do need to understand the sport. And I'm gonna tell you a story. So
So
there
many
was
people
this
who don't.
there was this shorty back in the day. Not irrelevant to race or anything, like just
You did.
knowledge.
Yeah.
There's this shorty back in the day. When I was on the scene, I used to do this thing called the Mike the Truth Beauties, right?
Mhm.
Where I would sort of like women that I would know, I would like put them like they doing something cool in their life. I've interviewed like lawyers and doctors and models and all these things, politicians. So there's one shorty I put on. She came from like football and basketball. Like she knew sports,
Okay.
but her sports was football and basketball. And I ended up putting her on. You remember a kid named Andrew Craig?
Yes, I actually do. Yeah.
So my guy Andrew Craig, he was in the UFC. He was one of the first
Yeah.
guys out of Houston to get into the UFC at the bigger
He
level.
was good, man. He was good for a second.
Now he's still, and he's out in Austin now, working
Okay.
with the On It team. He's doing a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions now.
Dope.
But at the time he was in the UFC, and shorty, like she was, because he's a good looking guy, looks like Captain America, and so she was just like, "Yo, I want to get an interview with him." So I set it up, and it was a cool little interview, cool little piece that she did. But then she was like, "Hey, I want to get more into MMA."
You did.
So I put her on the team. Was like, "All right, I want to have," because at the time I was doing a lot of post-fight interviews. So I was like, "All right, here's the thing. Let me switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna let you do the interviews with the fighters, and I'll do the filming." And because I love women, right? So I'm trying to always put women on and do all these cool things, right? It was so bad. It was so. And her interview wasn't bad because she's done this before. What was bad is that she didn't understand MMA.
Yeah,
And
you
so
will
it just
see it when you see Stephen A. all the time. Every time he goes out there to flap his gums, he visibly doesn't understand the sport.
Right. So it wasn't that bad, but it was bad.
It was bad.
It was bad. Well, then and this was the thing that kind of she kind of like, I don't want to say I was the reason why, but she kind of forced herself out of the sport. Was one where they were at it was a Legacy before it became LFA, from Legacy Fighting, and we was doing the show, and I got her. She's sitting K side doing her thing, whatever, and she was tweeting updates, and so one of her updates was like, such and such won by choke, and then we was like, well, what kind of choke?
Let's get a little bit more into it. What's up?
Well, right. And so she was just like, I don't know. And we're like, wait, like, you're covering the sport and you don't know what kind of choke, and it was like a rear naked or something, like something basic. It wasn't like some crazy choke. It was just some random choke, right? Or basic choke. So in the moment, we were just like, yo, you really should try to learn this stuff. And she just threw a fit because she was kind of one of these entitled people. And it was like, you couldn't tell her nothing. And it was like, yo, like, you just put this, she won by choke. People want to know what kind of choke. You know what I'm saying? And she took offense to that. And that kind of like forced her out. Point of the story is, know your shit before you start reporting on it. And now that's what's going to make you a better reporter.
That makes sense. No, it makes perfect sense, man. And it's one of those things that it's always surprising to me how so many people don't truly understand the sport and they're trying to report on it. 2020 was precarious for many reasons, but one thing that really reared its ugly head, obviously, is, brother, you rocking the hat. I love the shirt. We got to talk about those. And my brother, happy Black History Month to you.
Man, same to you, my guy. Same to you.
I appreciate you, man. Absolutely, man. But, dude, it's one thing that I've noticed about MMA, and it really showed itself, is unfortunately how racist our sport is. And the people that truly enjoy the game are, and I don't want to say our sport is racist, but a lot of people that enjoy it are not fans of us. Say it like that, okay? And then we have people like someone who's cornered you before. You got Pat Miletich. I'm an Illinois dude. I'm from Chicago. I know Pat myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. I'm from Chicago. I know Pat. All right. You know what I'm saying? You know Pat. You've been in there with that. You got Kobe Covington, doofy ass running around. What are your thoughts so far on 2020 and how the sport responded to all the racial injustice that's been going on in our country?
So what I like to, I get where you're saying as far as like the sport. That's just, that in itself is America. Like if you look at sports fans in general, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're looking at football, basketball, baseball, whatever, soccer.
Because LeBron gets hit over the head, boy.
There's going to be there. So it's unfortunate, and that's kind of how I looked at it with the Pat Miletich situation, is that you have someone who I've been knowing Pat like 8 years, right? Mm-hmm. And this was someone who called me his brother, right? This is someone who drove across the country to come to Chicago to corner me in a fight. So when you develop these relationships and bonds with people through training, like for me, my goal, right, is I want people, whatever their experiences of me are, like I want them to take something positive away from it. And let me tell you a quick story. So how I even got into this kind of world of trying to, I don't want to say I'm trying to convert people or anything like that, but I had this guy, this was years ago. When I first got into MMA, I was training in College Station, Texas, which everybody at work, Texas A&M is. Anybody know College Station is racist fuck. So I first gym I ever went to, right? And it just wasn't a fit for me. Not to knock the gym, because I ended up becoming cool with the guys over there. But in the moment, it just wasn't a good fit for me. Found another gym, rest is history. Fast forward a few years later, one of those guys from the original gym, he saw me at some fights backstage. He walked up to me. He was like, Mike, man, I just want to let you know that through having conversations with you, through seeing your social media posts, you've helped me like change my perspective on life, and I feel I'm now a better person.
That's powerful.
And I'm just kind of looking at it like, what are you talking about? And he tells me like, yo, I grew up in this environment. It was nothing but racist and hatred. But having conversations with you and seeing where you come from and seeing your experience with other people, I have a new perspective on life. And I was like, oh shit. Like that was one of the first moments I realized how much of an impact that I had on other people's lives. Yeah. So from that point on, that's sort of been my mission and my goal, is that when I interact with people, I want to give this positive experience, and hopefully it gives them a better perspective on life. Absolutely. And that's kind of the sentiment I had with Pat. Like, I feel like there are levels of racism, right? There's the like the ignorant kind of racism where it's like, oh, black people like watermelon and chicken, right? And then there's like, then you got the full on like KKK Klan members and everywhere in between.
Facts.
And you can't treat everybody, even wherever your level of racism is, you can't treat those people equally, right? Because again, like there's a lot of gray area, and I'm a logical person. I don't think emotionally like that. So where Pat fell in the line, it was in the middle. Like again, he wasn't like full. Well, let me rephrase. Before that day, before the Capitol riot day,
I'm about to say he had his ass out there with all the doofies.
So before that, right? I looked at Pat kind of like, because having these conversations over the years, I saw that Pat and I had very similar like ideologies. We just kind of came from he came from a Midwestern white guy. I came from a black dude from Texas. But it really seemed like we had the same end goal. Well, then you fast forward to like the Capitol joint, you're like, oh shit, we don't have the same. Like that was the moment for me where I was like, okay, he's not at the level I thought he was at, where I could still be cordial with this guy. He's now surpassed that. Yeah, but even then, though, like even with the Capitol post, I don't hate Pat. Like I don't hate any of these guys right now. I may hate what you stand for, but I don't hate you. I don't know them like that. But
isn't that the difference though? For, I mean, let's just keep it a bean for our people in this country. We're always the ones that are like, dog. My issue isn't with you per se. My issue is with the system in place. That's kind of our default setting, I feel like. So yeah, like I feel like I don't necessarily hate, because I've met Pat, decent enough dude when I'm around him. Right. But at the same token, bruh, I know what goes down in Central Illinois. You know what I'm saying? I know, those individuals. So that was my only thing with it.
Yeah, but like I said, I figured out where he was on the spectrum. Like I said, even in the moment when I wrote the piece on it, right? I didn't really give an opinion. I just posted what he said. Well, then our issue was literally when he sent me the text messages. And when I was reading it, I was like, oh shit, like Pat Miletich really is a piece of shit. And even at that point, but look, even at that point, I was just like, all right, I'm done having the conversation. Where Pat fucked up was he took a partial of the conversation and posted on Facebook. Well,
it's that victimhood shit, bro.
I gotta get you now.
Yeah. That's what that was. That's that victimhood. I'm playing. I want to play the victim when all of a sudden, oh look, woe is me. Like, come on, son.
Well, but you have to understand that's the playbook, right? Like people say, like, oh, the system is broken. The system isn't broken. The system is working like it's supposed to. Do. You know what I'm saying? We literally have two different Americas here, and we're trying to mess that shit into one so everyone can live a happy life. You know what I'm saying? But you got the contrarians who want to play the victim, but that's cool. That's the playbook. I'm here to combat that playbook.
Facts. And then you got Justin Willis on the other end. I love that dude, but geez, my man's be out here. Justin Willis, heavyweight. He fights. Used to fight in the UFC.
Oh, that was the black dude. They call him dude. What I forgot. But what about him? What happened with him?
Nothing. He's just very. He's in his own category, I'd say. Like I fuck with Justin. I like what he says. He's a little conspiracy theorist at times, but a lot of I think what he's saying is some positive stuff. So I was just making a joke about that.
I think that's just a sport in itself, though, and just giving. And then like but then you throw Dana on the spectrum as well, right? Like, oh man, you're gonna have, but see, even him, like there's a spectrum. Like, he is the guy he spoke at the rallies and stuff like that. But I understand why. Like, I understand what Trump did for the sport of MMA and for the company of the UFC, given what they are, and then you have to understand where he is economically, right?
Yeah.
You don't see Dana White out there flying a MAGA flag.
Real quick, for those who don't know, Facts. And for those who don't know, Trump did help out, like I said, those old school Atlantic City days when the UFC was really trying to kick it off. So there is a little to that. So I don't push back on that one. Yeah. So I just want to give people context.
For sure. Context is important. That's what a lot of people feel like. Context is very important. So from that standpoint, like I understand the loyalty. But again, I'm not friends with Dana. We don't have to be friends. Because on that spectrum, right? I know you're still at that spectrum where I see you, I give you the head nod and be done with it. I'm not shaking your hand. We don't have to be friends. I respect what you've done for the sport. Absolutely. And that's it. Because again, he isn't a guy walking, he doesn't have a hood on. He's not flying the flag with the tiki torches. He's not doing that. He did what he did because of the relationship. And I'm cool with that because I understand.
At the end of the day, he's a capitalist. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it. You know, my man's out here like, look, dog, I see green. Like I don't give a damn. You can make me some cash. That's what I'm looking at. So I understand that.
I get it because again, you're looking, but I get where like the white people who supported Trump for financial reasons. I get it. You're looking out for your best interest. But for me, like, all right, at what point is racism the deal breaker?
And that's been my only thing, and that's one thing that I've noticed with a lot of MMA media. You got Kobe Covington, and you got Mike Perry calling people niggas and shit. And next thing you know what I'm saying? There's no one's calling them out on this bullshit. So for me, that's what I wished people had more of a backbone to sit back and actually identify when things are fucked up. That's it, just for my end. Yeah, but the issue we have though is just the way the system is built, right? You have the people who are in there. Look, I'm in the media room, right? And I hear people asking questions, and I'm looking like, who gave you credentials? And then you realize they're working with like a Fox Sports and you're like, wait, like you probably were just some intern and you knew like some soccer or something. And they like, go to UFC fight. You like, all right, but these are just people, and so, but again, that's the way the system is set up. If we want to see more of us, right, like the Karen Bryants and all these people who are coming through the system, that's just the way the system is right now. And unfortunately, we have to play that game. So you have to get the experience and then you have to work your way up to get in these positions, unfortunately, as opposed to just kind of like do stuff like this,
and
build your own platform. Yeah.
100%, and then that's how you get in. I mean, look, Rob, I help him out with Black Sports Online to get our foot in there. You know what I'm saying? So there's a way to do it, and I know people are kind of upset about the narratives, like the Kobe Covingtons and all these things, but they're playing the game. Like that's the systemic racism game, and we have to put our people in there to combat that. Absolutely.
No, I love that, and like I said, with that point, we'll go ahead and transition a little bit because at the end of the day, that's I know what my goal is. I know, like I said, talking to you a couple of times now, that's what your goal is, and we're doing that. And I think that's amazing. Having our stories being told and doing that shit's super dope, especially on Black History Month.
Speaking real quick before we go, I just want to get moments ago, I found out who this civil rights icon is. His name is Cecil. Fuck your Fountain Williams. He's a civil rights. He's a civil rights legend icon. I just found this out like 30 minutes ago. I've been having this shit for years, but I found out who he is, and he's a living. He's not. I don't think he's still here, but he's a legend.
No, he's still here. He's still here.
Oh, shout out to Cecil. Fuck your Fountain Williams. Let's go, baby.
Fam, he ain't even that old. Like I just seen a picture of him not too long ago. And but he still look like that. Haircut look different, but I swear, dude still looks like that.
Shout out, look amazing.
Shout out to Cecil.
Black don't crack, baby. That black excellence.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. But let's transition to little MMA. Let's put your analyst hat on for a hot second.
Let's go.
Fam. 2020 was a lot of things, but I think there were some fire matchups and potential matchups coming up in 2021. Let's start off with this one. What was the matchup of 2020 that just blew you away?
Shit, man, I don't know, man. I watched so many fights, man.
Because you watch stuff from different, and people don't know that too. Because I always see you at the regional circuits and everything.
Well, because before the pandemic, like I was the lead photographer for LFA, putting out the fire content. I can't. Well, I'll probably whenever they letting fans back in is when I'll be back with those guys.
Awesome.
And then there's a promotion out here called Fury Fighting Championships that I
Good champions over there. Good fighters come out that organization.
Yeah, man. I do all their photography, but I also run like the production and all of these things. I'm waiting for that to open back up so I can get busy again. But man, there have been some amazing fights. I couldn't pick one. I've seen so many, and then I have so many friends fight. Like, I got this guy named Adrian Yanez right now who's coming up. And that's just the one that kind of stands out at the moment. But I really couldn't pick one fight, to be honest with you.
Dude, there were so many, man.
Give me a top three, and let me see if I got.
So top three, I'm gonna go with at least these were my top three that I can think of for the year. You got Figueiredo versus Moreno. You got then I'm gonna also say the Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus the champ. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give you one more that I can think of. Poirier Hooker.
Now Poirier Hooker has a special sentiment because Dustin's my guy. That's my Louisiana fam.
We can talk about Dustin because my man's went out there and put on a show like a couple weeks ago.
That was for me. That was probably one of the most sentimental, as well as when Adrian got the contract and that second knockout. But out of those three, even that young Jacek was dope. I missed both that one live, so I saw the highlights. And her face was all messed up.
And you know what? I had her winning. I've watched that fight like 4 times, bro. I've watched it 4 times. I had her winning every time. Every time I've had her winning.
But man, that Moreno Figueiredo fight, that was a nice one. I probably had to go with that. Was crazy. And then wasn't it like a draw, right?
It was a draw. It was a draw.
Right, we're gonna go with that one.
That was a good one. Do you think we'll see John Jones versus Adesanya?
No. It don't make sense, man. Like, I get it from it doesn't make sense from a fighting standpoint. It makes sense from a business standpoint,
right?
But from a fighting,
will it make sense if Adesanya does scrape up Jan, which I believe he will? I think Jan's a beast, but I think he scrapes him up.
I mean, look, I still look. Here's the thing: it's good for Israel. But it doesn't do anything for John. I've been saying since John fought like Matt Hamill, I was like, yo, he's gonna go up to heavyweight. Because at the time he was still a kid, basically, and he was like, oh, he's gonna grow up and get bigger. And now it took way longer than I expected, but
he's 10 years longer than it should have.
Right. And maybe he just figured out the dieting and all that. Because he's never like missed or anything like that. No. But I stopped going to 55 because I understood what it was to get that cut. It sucks. I just don't. Again, it doesn't do anything for John. What does it do to him to go down and beat this guy up? Now it'd be kind of cool, to fight again from a business standpoint for highlights. Mm-hmm. But that does nothing for his legacy. I don't feel.
So do you think he's going to end up facing Ngannou, or is it going to be Stipe? So that fight's signed. It's a done deal. So I know.
I see him fighting one of those guys, and that's the point.
Who do you think? Who do you think? If you had your money on it today?
John.
No, I'm saying between who do you think gets Stipe or Francis?
John. I don't care. John.
It don't matter who. It's John.
John gonna watch him either one. I think. And the reason I just feel and it's not because. Both of those guys are obviously they're great fighters. They're amazing fighters in Stipe and Francis. Mm-hmm. But John, you have to look at it from like a stylistic, like the type of fighters they are. Now, can either one of them defeat John? Of course they can. I'm not saying like they have no shot. But when you look at like his abilities and his skill set, what are you talking about? He's bigger, he's faster. He may not be as stronger, but the techniques that he uses doesn't really rely on strength. It relies more on his physical athleticism and his gifts. I don't see either one of those guys being able to stop John.
I can see that. No, I think, look, as much shit as I give John, I still make John my GOAT. I don't have to like him as a person or anything else or what he's done, because I think some of the things
he's done is nasty. As a person?
I've only met him in person once, and that's when he was a young dude. That's before he had the belt, and he was cool as a fan to me, right? So I in person, it was all love. But in terms of what he's done outside of that, what I've seen, it's just nasty. And especially, you know what I'm saying, when you're like we love this sport. So like, come on, fam. And there ain't that many of us. So I think I've been harder on him because of that. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'll be hard on him because of that, because it's like, come on, fam. We only got like 10 of us. You can't be that guy.
Yeah. I never looked at, because for me, like, I just looked at it from the sport. I never looked at it from that point. Because for me, I look at it again. I understand people are different. They have their own things. And to be as good, to be as great as John is, like, there's a give and a take. Like, you made some sacrifices in your soul to get that good, right?
Yeah.
So when
went
you
to
have
some dark places. Went to some legit dark places.
When you have someone who comes from the bloodline of all these athletes, right? Who is as great as he is, like, you traded some shit. And when you over here, like, you know, hitting pregnant women and you're running away, you're coming back, like,
come to get your stash. Like, come on, son.
I'm not by any means condoning it, because all of what you did was bullshit, 100%. But I understand how he fell into those situations. I hope 100% he eventually figures it out for himself and his family. But I love that. Like, I've interviewed him, we've talked, we have conversations. Like, he's a cool cat. He makes some shitty decisions, but don't we all? But to your point, because he's black, he gotta represent.
Yeah, man, you gotta represent us better than that, man. I think that's to me, I feel like that's always been my beef with Buddy. Like, bro, like, when you're in a sport when there's not that many of us, you have a responsibility.
Yeah,
there's a legit response. Like, you can go to the NFL and be an asshole. I mean, look at Greg Hardy. He beat people's ass, came over here, and now he's a cool dude, right? It is whatever. But you carry the flag, man. So that has been my only issue with doing.
I agree.
You know,
he messed up for us. I hope he gets his shit together. Get your shit together, John Jones.
No shit. Hey, but look, on the other hand, like, I think DC's great representation, right? I think you know what I'm saying? DC's the man. And people hate on DC, but DC is amazing.
I never understood the hate. I've always loved DC. I love listening to him. I love having conversations with him. Like, the dude he's a gem, man. And I love it. I interviewed him 2 years ago. He's a great dude, and I don't get the hate.
I don't either. I think he's hilarious. I think he's one of the best commentators that we have. I think he's one of the best dudes on the mic. Pause, but he is. You know what I'm saying? He's his shows are amazing. The dude is, and not to mention, he's one of the GOATs. He's on the Mount Rushmore. You can't take that away from Buddy.
100%. I remember when I first saw him fight, it was on the Strikeforce card. I was like, who is this dude?
Who's a chunky dude?
He went on there and fucking picked up Bigfoot.
Josh Barnett. He picked up Josh Barnett and put him on his shit.
Oh, shit. That was his first fight that I saw in the Strikeforce. I became a fan. And then and for me, that was cool, but it was really the conversations, hearing him speak, is what really, drew me into him.
And for me, especially, was listening to his story. And I think that's why our stories are so important to be told. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But hey, let's talk about this. What, in your opinion, is the best weight class in MMA? Currently, because I think it's gone through ebbs and flows.
When you say
I think talent-wise, from top to bottom, talent, you see, like, just a weight class. And let's just
55. Well, it has to be 55. It has to be 55.
I was saying, for me, I was just saying, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I think 35 maybe hasn't surpassed, but if you look at the talent, they have 10 dudes strong that might be able to win that chip when you really think about it.
Okay. I need to go and look at the division a little bit more. When I look, but no, that makes sense though, especially with the newer crops coming in. You're starting to see a shift. But that's just the evolution of sports or everything. Like, we're always gonna get these timelines. And it was funny. I was not thinking about it not too long ago, because I'm fighting fucking Dean Barry, and he says he's a kickboxer, but that motherfucker like one of them karate style guys.
Yeah, he is.
And so I was like, oh shit, the Machida era. I thought about that.
Man, dude, the Machida era lasted all of 6 months.
But that's what I'm saying though. We had the Machida era, but think about it back. We had the Hoist when he did his thing, and True. Then we started seeing like the Ortizes. Fuck Tito Ortiz, by the way.
Facts.
And then we got the Chuck Liddell. Then we got the Anderson Silva. And then was a GSP after that. Like we started to get like these sort of evolutions of the sport. And I think that's where the most recent one was probably going to be like the 55ers, right? But maybe you're right. Maybe I probably haven't looked at it as close as you have, but you're probably right. Now that I think about it, like the Corey Sandhagens, the
Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan.
Aljamain, that's my guy.
Yeah.
We're starting to see a shift. So you may be right.
TJ's coming back.
TJ's coming back. You might be right. 35 may be the spot to be.
I'm saying I was just thinking about it because I think it's like we always look at 55 historically and reasonably so. You know what I'm saying? But
you also get the shift though. You're gonna get the guys who come from 45 and from 70 sometimes.
Yeah, a lot, man. Because I know even for myself, I walk around at like between 185, 190. So when I was competing, I was like, 55 sounds kind of nice. These 170 dudes is huge.
So look, I'll tell you. So I was an amateur, right? And my first 3 fights were 170. And my first fight. Like I probably started when I got ready for the fight. Like fight where I was like 178, and I'm like, bro, like how I'm gonna lose 8 pounds? Like what are you talking? But again, I never cut no weight my life. And then I remember going to. Well, it was after my third fight because it was time between my third and fourth fight. And I go out and I'm training at a gym out here. And have you heard of a guy named Jeff Rexroad? I have not, no. Okay, so Jeff Rexroad, he was the legacy welterweight champion. Okay. He came up with this thing called the Rex angle. It was like a modified. It's really weird. I have to see the link. Send me, man. I'm gonna see the video of it. But it was some Eddie Bravo kind of rubber guard shit where it was just he made his own submission up, right? Yeah. But the dude's also like he works for HPD. He's now like a detective out here, right? So it's kind of give and take, but he's really good. So I remember seeing Jeff, and again, he's a 170 champion, right? Mm-hmm. Well, one day I'm over at his gym and I'm training, right? Getting some sparring in that day. So I look in the back and I see Jeff. I was like, yo, who is that? And I was like, oh, that's Jeff Rexroad. I was like, wait, the 70 champion? He was like, yeah, no lie. At the time when I saw Jeff, he was walking at like 220. Ooh. I looked at him and I was like, and at this point, I had never been over 200 pounds in my life. Right. I was like, this dude's cutting the ones. I was like, nah, I'm going to 55.
Straight up. Yo, fam, that's like what it's like first time I saw Rumble. I saw Rumble when he was fighting at 170, and he was every bit of like 240 when I saw him. I was like, he fights at what?
But the Rumble, though, like the comparing Jeff to Rumble, like Jeff, he's a bigger guy, like just a bigger, stockier guy. Like Rumble had way more muscles than Jeff, so I never understood how the hell I never said how you make the 85, let alone 70.
Dude, I don't know how that dude makes 205 for that matter. Shit.
I can kind of see 205, kind of. Well, now he's like he's rumble now. It's different.
That dude looked like Juggernaut. That's what his ass looks like now. That's crazy.
That takes so much, like, and that's the thing about this sport, man. Is like it's not just the fighting. It's the mental aspect of it I mentioned earlier. And now you have to add the diet part of it. And it like fighting is like it's a lifestyle, basically. Yeah. If you really want to be great at this sport,
it's a legit really martial arts lifestyle.
It's a more and for me though, like that's why I kind of do what I do because it's a give and take. Like I put enough energy to have fun and to be good at what I do and succeed, but I'm not putting the energy in to be a world champion, because I understand the sacrifice that makes, and I'm just not willing to make those sacrifices.
Dude, that is something special in his own right, to knowing where, to understand that. And it seems like not enough people really.
It's a gift. Now I'm out here giving y'all free advice.
Gems, bro. Just dropping jewels, man.
You gotta pay life coaches for it.
Man, I should have made this about. I should have opened up my Patreon channel with this, man.
You should have. You should have. Yo, throw me some.
Oh no,
coins.
we'll do it again. No, we're gonna do it on the Patreon chat too. That's
Yeah,
how we're
yeah,
gonna do
yeah.
that.
Let's do it.
So before we get you out here, a couple things, man. Fighter that you should watch out for outside of the UFC.
Ooh, man, that's a tricky one. We got some really good guys. We saw a few of them on the Contender Series. There's a kid named Leo Mana Martinez, who's Adrian Yanez's teammate. Another one of his teammates named Jacob Silva. There's this kid who trains with those guys actually,
Okay.
and he's making his pro debut next month on a Fury card. His name is Cameron Smotherman. Yeah,
Okay.
he's like a 35 or 2. Speaking of, and I've been watching him like as an amateur.
Yeah.
Dude, he's this kid. He's good.
Somebody
You
to
can
watch out for.
follow him on his Instagram and Twitter is Lil Campster, KLILCAMPSTER. The kid is good. He's about to make his pro debut here in like a month or so.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna check him out. That's dope.
Yeah, that's my guy. And then he's Black History Month, baby. Got to support my guys.
Gotta support him, man. Speaking of Black History Month, a lot of us, and one thing I always like to asking people, especially of us, give me a book recommendation, man. I know, like I said, you're an astute brother, man. What books will be something good for people to check out?
You know what? I'm gonna give you one right here. I need to find the name of it, but as I look it up, I'm gonna tell you about it. So, the book is about it's comedy from slavery until like now, and the reason I recommend it's what's the name of this book? It is I can't give me the name. The reason I recommend this book is because for me, it says here we go. On the real side, it's just I don't know if you can see it right here.
Oh, bet. Okay.
Wait. It's a history of African American comedy from slavery to Chris Rock is the name by Mel Watkins. And the reason I recommend this book is because it was actually it opened my eyes to sort of how we got here. Is that entertainment is what shapes society. It's politics, yes, but it's also entertainment because these are the people who are in our faces more so. So when you think back to like slavery, who are the people you weren't really like, yeah, you can hear what the politicians are saying through like the newspapers, but the people that you're in front of and seeing were like when you go to minstrel shows and all these vaudeville shows, right? Yeah. Even now but it's different now with social media, but before social media, a lot of people would get commentary from comedians and what happened, or the entertainment, right? So what happens is the people who are in control of the man who's over systemic racism this showed me how the system is shaped, and it's all through it's through entertainment. Like the shit is, I didn't realize it until I was reading this book, is that you think back to like the vaudeville days where people like you had these blacks who were trying to show their craft and show what they can do. And then you got the white owners like, nah, you just got to sing and dance and tap dance. Well, from the black people's side, they're like, well, I need to eat. I need money. So what are my options? So for me, it's obviously, because for me, I don't, like, I'm past the point, I can't really watch media that depicts black people in it. Like, when you see all these new shits like the what's the one on Netflix now with like the gangs in New Orleans and all that, like that shit gives me anxiety. Like I can't watch black people being killed and all that. Like the little girl who got slammed the other day, like I can't watch that shit anymore. No. But I don't have to watch it because I already understand where we are.
Facts.
So I don't need that to put shit into context. But going back to the book, it just opened my eyes to really why things are the way they are, and it was just because it's like the people who were controlling entertainment, they sort of maneuvered it and shifted it to how, again, the winners are the ones that tell it, that their narrative is the ones that go through. So
come on, man.
got the white people who's in control, they get to tell their story.
Yeah, the victors always ones to tell the story, man. And again, it's interesting that you bring that up because, I mean, obviously, oppression 101 is shut up the journalists and the comedians because they're the ones that go out there to tell the truth. You know what I mean? So this is such an interesting book. I'm gonna check it out. Everybody check it out on the real side. Mel Watkins. We're gonna go ahead and check that one out, man. Because with this day and age, bro, that is super important to really keep your eyes and ears open for that one. But bro, Mike, the Truth Jackson, man, brother, thank you so much for being generous with your time today, man. Where can the people find you?
Man, you can find me at the Truth Jackson on all those social media. And I didn't even get to plug it. I just forgot that I have my new lifestyle brand we're launching here pretty soon called Shits and Giggles.
Okay.
And the reason we're doing it for shits and giggles, my guy, we're doing it. I'm doing it for our amusement, but with the purpose. And the first graphic tee that I'm dropping is gonna be my Snow Roaches shirt. It's gonna be dope. I've seen a little people like the design, or I showed it to them. They love it. They can't wait for me to drop it. But we just waiting on some behind the scenes stuff to get ready. I just launched the Instagram. It's just Shits and Giggles brand. And just stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Well, shit, dude, when you drop that shirt, I will definitely be copping one of those because that's dope. That's super fire. All right, my brother, thank you so much for your time today, man. Much continued success. Like I said, I hope we get the chance to do this again, man.
Hey, because like I said, I just got the word on when the fight's getting rescheduled. So once the actual date drops, let me know. We can do it again.
That would be amazing. Yeah, when that drops, I'm gonna shoot you in line, man. All right, my brother. Appreciate you, man. Everybody, Mike the Truth Jackson.
No, that'd be good.
Yes, sir. Boom, there it is. All right, everybody. It was my interview with Mike the Truth Jackson, bro. I have to thank this man, man. He's so gracious with his time, and I love getting those type of conversations and real conversations, man. I feel like that's one of those things few and far between, man. So it was a good time talking to him. I cannot wait to see what he has coming up. Remember, On the Real Side is the book he's talking about, and Shits and Giggles brands. Do yourselves a favor, check it out. Without further ado, man, this is your boy Serg Vicente, the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. This has been episode 264. I'll see y'all next time right here on the Fight Podcast. Deuces.